Hi everyone, Brian from Bearable Traders. Sunday, April 26th. Hope everyone's had a good weekend, keeping it safe. And we have a big week coming up, and I'm just starting out with the Estimize website here, just showing you the earnings that are going to be coming up here. We've got Tesla on the 29th, Apple, AMD, Amazon, Microsoft, some really big hitters here: Google, Facebook, Visa, Boeing, Twitter, Starbucks. Um, Also a Fed meeting coming up on Wednesday, although I'm not really sure that really is going to have much of an impact, if anything. McDonald's, some airlines, UAL, General Electric. Yeah, so really heavy bunch of earnings coming in this week, so it should be kind of interesting. And yeah, and when you reflect on what happened last week, especially with Intel reported not bad earnings, guidance not so great, opened down, but then finished the day near the high, at or near the high, in the green. We'll take a look at that in a minute here. So maybe that's an indication of where things might go with some of these big stocks. Apple, obviously, going to be watched. Amazon up big already just because of the amount of business they've gotten from the virus thing. Microsoft also looking pretty strong. So yeah, let's see where things go this week. It should be very interesting indeed. Let's take a look here quickly, see how the day went on Friday. Nice rounding bottom and back up, finish near highs of the day. So nothing's going to keep this market down by the looks of it, at least in the near term. And it's the Fed. It's why you cannot fight the Fed. People keep saying, "Oh, we got to have another pullback." Well, the Fed is just pumping in money into the system like crazy, like they never have before, and it's just it's crazy. So, and you just cannot fight the Fed. They can be markets can be wrong longer than you can stay solvent. So you can see here, healthcare still looking good, basic materials, um, technology on the month. We've still had pretty strong technology, but we'll take a look at some of the indexes here and maybe see some cracks in the wall. Who knows? Transports again here. We're kind of, as I mentioned, been mentioning now for a few of these videos. We look like we're kind of settling into a consolidation range here. We're not really ready to sell off, but we're not. It doesn't look like we're going to go higher anytime soon either. So you can see here, transports still holding above the 20 moving average. Volume on Friday was low, but better than Thursday. Can't say much more than that. And RSI just like right in the middle there, 50. Not overbought, not oversold. Yields still coming down here. So that's going to be good for the stock market. So in the weekly, we see we're still coming down here. Not great for the banks, but when the yields are low, people put money in the market. So here's we'll just take a look at the weeklies quickly. You can see here the Dow is off on the week. Still held right at the 200 day. So we'll be anxiously watching that this week to see where we go out the week here. Volume was pretty light. MACD is actually turning up a little bit here. So RSI rolling over. So it's going to be it's kind of at a do or die point there. And the Russell small caps, they were actually up on the week by the looks of it, just barely. And this is an area where money may come in again this week. Volume was pretty light though. That was the only problem. Not a lot of buyers, but not a lot of sellers either. So, and the Qs again, big reversing candle. So came down to a low and finished above, but still lower on the week by about maybe about 0.5% or so. So volume again really light in these last couple weeks. MACD is turning up, so maybe we are going to continue to rally here. So The SPY again off from last week, but big reversing candle here, and again not ready to sell off by any means, still well above the 200 moving day. The dollar just kind of hanging in there, steady. VIX coming down. I mentioned this earlier. The VIX can, we could actually turn and head lower on the markets, and that is not going to mean the VIX is going to start going higher. So, we can have a slow, steady decline on the VIX, and a slow, steady decline in the market at the same time. We don't necessarily aren't going to see this kind of price action again, especially if we just slowly leak back down over time, sort of as the reality of the whole economic situation, becomes more apparent. It's we just may end up the volatility may come in and drop further as the indexes drop as well. So don't be thinking we're going to be getting another pop unless we really get some bad news and people really start reaching for insurance again. So you can see here, let's go through some stocks I've got watching here. I mentioned, I think in this one before, if BA lost the sort of 133 level, it was going to head lower, and sure enough it is. And this looks like it could be heading back down to 120. We've kind of lost a pretty key area of support here last week. So it could be rolling over and heading down to 120. We'll be looking for a short on that Monday. ECL, Econolab, kind of watching this one. It's looking pretty strong. When you draw a line here, it looks like it's breaking out, and this looks like it could be ready to head up to maybe it's sort of this 190 level if you wanted to try to play that. There's a lot of volume up here, which means there's a lot of people that bought up in this area that there'll probably be some pretty stiff resistance up here. So volume building a little bit over the last couple weeks. At least but it's well off these volume highs here. So possible, but I'm not really liking that as much as Boeing. Short. GZX is the one we've been in, or at least I've been trading to the long side, watching for that gold price going higher. I did get in, I got out when it popped here on Thursday, got back in again when it made a double bottom here on Friday, and it actually made one of my targets on Friday as well, so I sold half of it coming out of that. So we'll see where it goes from here. I was hoping for get more of a pullback, maybe a gap fill here down to sort of the 132 area, or maybe even 131 would be nice, and it would just basically validate that we are in an uptrend, because we can't just go straight up. We've got to have moves higher, and then consolidation, pullback, and then holding a level which validates the trend, and then another pop higher. So looking for this one, it still I think is gonna do a pullback here. I don't think we're gonna continue higher, but I've got half my position on right now, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. GLD again, this is the paper gold. It is looking a little bit toppy here, and due for a pullback. Intel, this is what I mentioned here. Again, earnings on Friday. You can see here we had a pretty significant drop at the open after the earnings report, but look at how strong that was all day and into the close, and we finished pretty close to the high of the day. High was 59.40, close 59.26, so 14 cents off the high. So again, and on volume, of course, because it was an earnings report, but again, just an indication that people are just looking at these things and just snapping them up. And it did come off right at a level of support. Here's some support, and of course prior resistance here level. So pretty obvious support here right at 56. So watch for stuff like Microsoft, Apple to do that this week. We move on here with Intel. Watch for stuff like Microsoft and Apple if they gap down, watch for buyers to come in and snag those as well. KWEB, again, this is the Chinese ETF. Been watching that recently. The Chinese stocks have really been have been red on green days lately, and I guess this chart doesn't really tell me anything other than maybe there's some support here at 47. But overall, it kind of looks kind of choppy right now. Kind of stuck in a range here between 49 and 47. So moving averages are kind of coming together. Net there makes you think that we are just getting into a period of just basically chop. So mRNA are obviously one of the big plays for the virus. Still hanging in there. It's had a really nice run. Nothing to do really, unfortunately. Microsoft, one of the ones reporting today, you can see it's been pretty strong. So it's going to be interesting when it reports, is all the good news in and it's going to sell off or it's going to gap down. But, pick a level here, this 168 level. What's the low here on this candle? 166, open 173. No, close was 167, 168. So look for some support here. What's the low on this candle? 168. So if we do get a pullback on, to where on 168, I'd be looking for an entry on Microsoft on that report, earnings report. MU, again, just seems to be kind of chopping in a range right now with the rest of the semis. Square still looking strong. Just seems to be hanging on this range. A break of and a close above sort of a 63.50 level here. 63.50 seems to keep popping up here. So if we get a close above that, we could be off. 200-day moving average is at 165.50. Tilray, nice day on Friday. Looks like it's ready to go higher. I'd be looking at a level of 9. I do have a small position in that. I mentioned that in the room on the close on Friday. Took a small position on it just to see if we get a little pop through here. TNA, again, this is the index, a small cap index. This is where I think there could be some more upside. And you can see here lots of volume, lots of people in down here. So you haven't got a lot of people, a lot of traders, investors stuck up in this area. So there won't be a lot of overhead resistance if we can break through this level here, which is sort of the $20 level, 2035, 2030. If we can break out and hold above that, it could be a decent run, maybe up to this level, 23.20, and then if gap fill 28, that would be pretty optimistic. But oil is just again, it's people are predicting that we're going to have another crazy sort of futures close later in the month in May. Really oversold here. The XLE kind of came back. Again, VXRT, this was one I had a position in. We got that one, sold it when it popped up here. Got a nice little move on that. And AKER, I'm out of that one, but that was another one we got a nice pop on. Got in on Thursday, got out on Friday on that pop up to over $4. And that was a nice little move as well. And let's just take a look at the XLE because that's the sort of trades with the oil, and you can see how XLE is actually traded a little better than these are the the oil exploration and processors, E&P guys, and you can see here they're getting a lot more, I guess, buying interest than the actual commodity itself. Thinking in the longer term, I think people are thinking these are solid companies, dividend payers, and if you're in this for the long term, I think it's probably a pretty safe bet, especially with the economy coming back online. By the looks of it, some things are starting to cautiously reopen stuff. So oil demand should start to come back. Although we still are really in a strong oversupply situation, and that's what's driving the price down. So, but you can see here a lot of trades, buys and sells here. So, not a lot of people stuck in this trade unless you get way up here. So, I think this could be good in the long term for a gap fill, and I think we had a few traders actually get back in around here. And again, longer term trade, this is not something you'd be hoping to get a week or two and then get out of. But if you really wanted to be in oil for the long term, couple of years maybe, something to tuck away, this probably will be, not a bad investment in the long run. So anyway, that's it, guys. Let's see what happens this week. It's going to be fascinating just to see what happens with some of these reports and how the market reacts to some of these. If we get an Intel-like reaction on some of the biggies, Amazon's obviously going to be a real interesting one. And yeah, we'll see how things go. So this is my book, How to Swing Trade. It's on Amazon. And as always, we will be starting up in the Bear Bull Trading Room. The pre-market show starts at 8:30 live on YouTube if you're going to join us there. And then we'll be trading the market open. We'll see what's in play and see what's tradable when the market opens. So hope everyone's had a great weekend again and stayed safe and healthy and staying connected with family, friends through other means other than getting together as we normally do. And hopefully things will get back to normal at some point sooner rather than later. Have a great weekend, the rest of the weekend, everyone, and we'll talk to you in the morning if you're going to join us. Bye for now.